This is day 5 of the Reclaim Your Peace virtual summit. And today we're going to be talking about the unspoken art of protecting your peace and beliefs. Over these past couple of days, we've identified that we can restore our marriage. We've identified how to let go of the painful memories. We've identified how to let go of the emotional and get off that emotional roller coaster. Um, it's now time for us to, we don't want to let go of this. We don't want this energy to stop. We don't want the enemy to snatch all that we have received. So what we're going to focus on is protecting your peace. And what does protecting your peace means? It means caring for and safeguarding your physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual self. That means that you are taking a proactive steps towards making sure that your peace is safeguarded and not in place of danger, not in the way of being taken or someone just snatching or also not forfeiting your peace, because sometimes we can release our peace to other people. So you must be diligent. All that you've received this week has been a dynamic blessing. Thank you so much for the testimonies of those of you who've been sharing with me. Thank you. And from what you said, you've gotten such dynamic transformation in your life. So now we want to make sure that it doesn't go anywhere. So you have to be diligent, you have to be watchful. And how do we do that? You must be very intentional about your immediate circle. Your immediate circle are the people who will affect your level of peace the most. I'm not saying that people who necessarily people like maybe at your job. I'm talking about people who have direct impact on your life, not people you just work with or people who you serve in ministry with. I'm talking about the people who you allow to speak into your life. You must be intentional about making sure that circle is sound proof, is bulletproof. It's anointed and saturated in the word of God. So the environment also you must be intentional about that. Be careful of what you're exposing yourself to. Do not intentionally go into environments that can steal your peace. Even though you're attending this because of marriage restoration, you still need to be intentional about what areas you're taking yourself into, what atmospheres you're allowing yourself to go into. Because what you surround you, environment you surround yourself in, you risk that now penetrating your heart and penetrating your emotions. Okay, so you want to be very intentional about that. What you mentally consume will always impact the level of peace that you experience. So if you're always watching ratchet TV and you always listening to gossip and you always in the middle of something that you ain't got no business being in, all of that will grow and it will snatch your peace. But remember, we're kingdom wise. We don't go running off and gossiping. We don't go running off in the middle of mess. We are serious about doing fulfilling the work of the Lord, about loving on our families and having the best life ever. Okay. So you must safeguard without isolating yourself. I know after infidelity, after marital trauma, you feel no one understands you. You feel it, and the people who you have spoken to most likely are not giving you the best advice. Someone might be saying, "Girl, you need to leave him. Girl, you could do better by yourself. You better than me." I don't like that saying at all, because what you basically saying is you stupid. You're calling people bad names, okay? Um, so you want to make sure that you're not isolating yourself. The enemy wants you to isolate yourself. Understand this. The reason why you steer towards isolating yourself is because that's what the enemy is doing to keep you or trying to keep you bound. He's using that to try to keep you from seeking counsel of others. And I'm going to dive into that. Let's go to isolation is not of God. Okay. Proverbs 18:1. So make sure you got your notes out, got your guide out. Proverbs 18:1. A man who isolates himself seeks his own desires. He rages against all wise judgment, seeks his own desires. You don't want to be the woman who's raging against sound wisdom, sound advice, guidance from people who are going to help you live your best life and do it in a way that honors God. Okay. So, who are you getting your wise counsel from when you're just isolating yourself and you're just talking to yourself and you're just allowing your thoughts to feed? Drop a two if you've ever been the kind of woman where you just sit if you're sitting there quiet, sometimes your mind will just get to wander and it's just going and going and going. And you're trying to figure out how to fix something, or you're trying to navigate through a conversation or a tough season, but your mind is just going. And that counsel that you're receiving from yourself is not always the best thing. Okay. And remember, that's a trick of the enemy. The enemy wants you isolated. Okay. So, next, there's no help when you fall. So first, you're not getting wise counsel. And now there's no, thank you for dropping the twos. There's no help when you fall. You are going to fall. You're going to have a moment when you want to relapse. You're going to have a moment when you want to pop off. You're going to have a moment where you want to run from your marriage. You're going to have a moment when you even want to stop serving God because sometimes the pain will become too much for you. And you need a circle of believers who are surrounding you and supporting you. And the same way when Moses had his hands lifted so the children of Israel can win, and Aaron, and they were holding up his arms so that they can continue to win the battle. That's what you need in your life. You need women who are going to keep your arms up. You need a circle of women who are going to fight for you in the spirit, who are going to pray with you, who's just going to take you out and have some coffee when times get rough. Okay. So be very mindful of where you are and who you have immediately around you. You must be very intentional. Okay. This is when you're isolated, there's no one to help. So Ecclesiastics 4:9-10. Two or more people together can help each other succeed, as well as lend a hand when one of them falls. Also, two or more people can protect one another's back when they're being attacked by enemies. We've already established that if you've experienced infidelity, you're in the middle of spiritual warfare. If your marriage is being attacked, it's because the enemy. But you need because you're already looking at your husband crazy and you're second guessing your decision to stay at this very moment. You want your husband to be on the battlefield for you with you, and y'all are fighting together, but he's not. And I get it. That's why you need women who've been where you are, who are going to hold up the fight with you so that you can walk in victory and not be alone and not be by yourself. Isolation and suffering in silence are one of the number one reasons why so many wives are turning away from their marriage because they feel alone and no one understands them. Next, you are vulnerable to deceptive thinking. Remember, we already talked earlier about when you allow those thoughts to, because remember, the enemy's throwing them fiery darts at your mind. The enemy's already attacking you. When you're by yourself, you're now vulnerable and exposed to the enemy. Yes, you can wage war on your own, but why not have your sister partner with you so you can run and fight this battle together? There's no one around you to speak good judgment, good counsel, good guidance into your life. Yes, you need a moment where you got that friend when you want to talk bad about your husband, they available. Like drop a three if you know exactly who to call if you want to talk bad about your husband. And you just want to go left and just talk bad about they ain't gonna correct you. They ain't gonna stop you. I can think of at least I don't engage with them on a regular basis no more, but I can think of at least three. And there's one person in my life that I know I can call, but we don't talk about my husband just simply because okay, we have those people in our lives that we know will tear our husbands down and will allow us to do it. But that's not who you need when you're trying to build your marriage. That's like throwing gasoline on an issue. That's like you're throwing fiery darts for yourself to attack yourself. Okay. So You begin to think that since you're here, you're all you're hearing are your own thoughts, that it must be true. When you're sitting in isolation, you will begin to think that what you're hearing is true. Remember, the enemy's crafty, the enemy's tricky. He knows your shortcomings. He knows how where your weaknesses are. He knows where your shortcomings are. He knows where your heart is. So he's going to be lying to you the entire time. And if you hear it enough and you're not fighting back with the word, like we talked about on Tuesday and Wednesday, then you'll start to believe that. So let's Jeremiah 17:9, but the human heart may be very deceitful. We cannot just allow our heart to lead us. Because, like I said, Jeremiah 17:9, it tells you the word, there's nothing new that you're experiencing. Every single thing that you're experiencing, there is a solution for it in the word. There's an answer for everything you're up against in the word of God, including community. Even when Mary was pregnant, she went to her cousin. They were able to be together and commune together and rejoice in the fact that she was going to give birth to the Messiah. So you want to make sure that, just like in biblical times when you had a partner, even Esther, she was able to go to Mordecai to help her to become the woman that she's supposed to be and to do exactly what was necessary so that her people would live, because the decree was going out to kill them all. So you, just like Esther, just like Mary, you need, think of Ruth. Is it Ruth or Naomi? I think Ruth. I always get them mixed up. One's the daughter and one's the mother-in-law. But just think, if she didn't have her speaking into her life and guiding her, would she have met Boaz? You must be intentional about having people pouring into your life and supporting you and undergirding you as you take this walk for Christ, as you pick up your cross and run for him. So how do we fix this? You guard against people speaking negatively about your relationship. I only have one person, and it's very isolating. Feels like I'm carrying deep shame, having to protect my husband from others' perceptions. I completely understand, and that's why I created the Kingdom Wives Inner Circle. After infidelity, it's very isolating, because as women of God, even though we're hurt, even though we're broken, we still want to protect our husbands. We still don't want their reputation to look horrible. We're not out in them streets, you know, with a bullhorn telling everybody what our husband's done. And that's what a kingdom wife is. Not a wife that sits there and allows herself to continue to be abused, but a kingdom wife is very cognizant of, this is spiritual warfare. The enemy's after my marriage. Unfortunately, my husband was in alignment with the enemy and allowed the enemy to lead him down a dark path. But now I'm ready to fight. I'm ready to fight for my marriage. That's what a kingdom wife does. She prays for her husband, and she navigates through this season with the right support. So you are right in what you're experiencing. It's very isolating, and carrying the shame of what has happened is something that wives do constantly, even though you did nothing wrong. Let's be clear, you've done nothing wrong, but you will carry the shame as though the shame is yours. But that's why we need to go through the rebuilding our foundation, releasing that shame to where it rightfully belongs, so that you can walk in the victory and healing that God already has for you. So, and you and I are going to talk more later on Sunday. Okay. Um, you cannot allow the weight of someone else's marriage to weigh you down. You cannot allow it to influence you. There was a season, especially when my husband and I were going through our darkest season, where I would go to women who had been married for years. And I'm like, surely you've been married 30, 40 years. Surely you can help me. And when I got off the phone with them, Honey, I was spending my time praying for them and their marriages. Okay. Not to say that marriage is going to be perfect. Even after 20 something years of marriage, me and my husband got moments where it's just like, dude, Lord, this man, and I'm good for going to the Lord, talking about, Lord, this man you gave me to, your son, I'm gonna need you to do something with him. Okay. So it's not, you need women who are, and I'm gonna go over the characteristics of a good system, a good circle, your dream team. Okay. The dream team where you call on them and you know, okay, I'm safe here. I can be vulnerable, I can be transparent. I know it's not leaving this space here, and I'm going to get the support that I need. Spiritual principles, biblical principles, and practical application. That's what you need, a good balance there. So you've got to stop allowing people to dictate what's going on in your marriage. They may love you. Your mama loves you, does not want you to be hurt. I know I'm the mother of 4 daughters. Let I pray the Lord, I pray they never ever have to experience some kind of heartache because I'm a mama bear. And if they told me that their husband did X, Y, and Z and they are broken, my instant reaction would be, where is he? Mama got this. Don't worry. So, but that's not what's necessarily best. So you need people who love you, but who can look at it from God's perspective and say, okay, let's hold on for a minute. Let's hold on. Let's see what God is saying. Let's seek God. Let's do this God's way. Emotionally and mentally, let go of people that constantly speak negatively into your marriage. And we're going to go through a process in a minute, where I'm going to tell you exactly what you need to do regarding your homework. But you know the people who don't need to be in your circle. Some of you dropped some threes in here. Okay. So you know exactly who you need to let go of. There was a time when I was so desperate for friends and desperate for connection that I was connecting my people. I was connecting myself with people who drained me. I felt there was at one point there was a group of people, and I was trying my best to connect with people and make friends. And I mean, whenever I left these people, I felt abused, I felt beat up, I felt like, oh my gosh, there's no hope in the world. You don't need those people in your life, okay? So you don't necessarily need to end the friendship 100%, but you need to limit their proximity to you. You need to limit their access to you, to where you're not calling them every day and they're not constantly feeding in your ear. You need to let go of the burden of carrying their negative thoughts. Someone who's having a miserable marriage and not seeking the will of God is not the person you need to have in your ear. You need people who are honest and transparent. Let go of you do need friends that are honest about marriage. My mentors, my circle is very small. There's about one, two, three, maybe 4 women who I call on for wise counsel, who I'm honest with, and who are honest with me, who will say, girl, look, I understand where you're at. This is what my husband did. I'm mad about it or disappointed about it, but let's go to the Lord regarding it. Let's handle this in a way like kingdom wives. Let's handle this in a way that honors God. Let's handle this in a way that allows the light of Christ to be seen through us. That's what you need. You want women that will look at an obstacle in your life and in their life and say, our God is bigger. Our God is stronger. Our God is more powerful. Drop a 4 if you want a circle of strong women who are seeking the face of God, and it's a safe space and it's transparent and it's vulnerable, and they will undergird you as you go through this life so that you can have a marriage that's thriving. So surround yourself with a tribe of women that have a successful marriage. If you want to learn something new or improve your life, you have to connect with people who are doing what you need them to be where you want to be. So going to someone who's been married 2 years and you've been married 20, you trying to figure it out. Mm, I don't know about that. But you at least need someone who's been married longer, who's experienced, because number of years doesn't necessarily mean that the marriage is strong. That doesn't mean that. But you need someone who has been through and understands and is committed to marriage. Okay. Um, you need to be intentional about developing this like-minded community. So here's the qualities of a thriving community. uh, the qualities of your dream team, okay, of kingdom wives. They're authentic, they're honest, they're transparent about where they are and where they've been. Not in a manner where they're always tearing, always, oh, woe is me, woe is me. No, 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 no. They say, you know what, I'm having a bad day, but to God be the glory. Not and they don't say, I'm not having a bad day. Th- Things happened that would try to make me feel like I'm having a bad day, but I'm having the best day ever because my God is still on the throne, because I'm protected, because I'm whole, because I'm healed, because the Lord is renewing my mind. I have the joy of the Lord. I experience his peace on a regular basis. So it's not that they're ignorant to what's going on. They acknowledge it, but what they do is they exalt God in the midst of it. So they love God and have a sincere desire and a fire to obey him. It's one thing to know the word, but it's another thing to have a fire to do what the Lord is saying, to run for him. That's another characteristic. They're married and desire to do things God's way. You need someone who's married and saying, you know what, but Lord, I trust you. In the midst of this, Lord, I trust you. I'm running for you, Lord. And they sincerely want your marriage to survive. Not every wife wants to see you happy. You need women who want to see your marriage thrive. They want to see you happy and in love with your husband. They want to see you booed up with your husband. I am all for being married 40 years and y'all are booed up. Y'all hugged up. Y'all act like teenagers. Why not? God didn't have you get married just so that you can be miserable and sad and lonely. Why would God create affection and then want y'all to never touch each other? And we're not even going to talk about sex because that's necessary. Okay. So Ecclesiastes 4:9-12, and I'm going to read this to you. Two are better than one because they have a good return for their labor. 10. So Ecclesiastes 9:10-12. Make sure you write that down. If either of them falls down, one can help the other up, but pity anyone who falls and has no one to help them up. Also, if two lie down together, they will keep warm. But how can one keep warm alone? Though one may be overpowered, two can defend themselves. A cord of three strands is not easily broken. You don't want to be easily broken during the season. It's time for you to put on the full armor of God and get ready for war, to fight for your legacy. This is not just about your marriage anymore. This is about the legacy. This is about the descendants that are coming out of from you. This is about the lineage of people who will see you and surrender to the Lord because of it. This is about the people who will be transformed by your yes to Christ. They'll be transformed by your obedience to Christ. So during this season, you must create your dream team of wives that are marching in the same direction towards victory. So, what I want you to do first is you're going to examine your current circle. Now, I want you to create a list. Hopefully, you've got your journal and your pen out. I want you to write down a list of the top 5 women you've communicated with over the past 30 days, either just to have chit chat or to complain about your husband and trying to get wise counsel. Write down the names of the 5 people, even if they called you just to gossip. Like, who are the top people, and be honest about it. So you're writing that down on paper now. Now, as you do that, I want you to stop and process. Cross out the names of anyone that you know is not aligned with the will of God for your life right now. Remember, we talked about the qualities of a dream team, of your circle of kingdom wives. Cross out the name. Now, I'm not saying you're going to completely just cut this person off and never engage with them again, because remember, your light must still shine. They must be transformed by your light. It's just that they're not going to be in your immediate circle. Drop a four. If you can think of some people that you probably who are not qualified to be in your kingdom circle, drop a four. If there's some people like, you know what? I know they do not, they mean well, but they're not a part of my, they can't really, they're not going where I'm going. Okay. So now what I want you to do is dig deep and think of at least one to two women, two wives that you want to be a part of your circle. Two women that you know they love God. You know that you look at their marriage, you're like, oh my gosh, I want my marriage to look like that. But of course, be careful what you're envying. You don't want to be like, what's the word? You don't want to just envy their relationship. You want to make, and that's not the word I want to use, but you don't want to exalt their marriage and think that that's it, because you don't know what people are going through behind closed doors. But think of some people who you know are Christ like. The woman is just, wow, I know that she has a relationship with the Lord. Now write those two names down. Think of one or two people. And this is what I want you to do. I want you to contact them. And you're going to say, you know what? I just want, can we go have coffee? Just want to hang. I want to get to know you better. You're not going to say, hey, I need you to help me have a good marriage. You want to have friends. So, hey, can we go get some coffee? I'd love to get to know you better. Strike up a conversation with them at work or at church or wherever you see them. Just try to strike up a conversation. Hey, I plan on going to dinner. You want to meet up or something like that? Strike up a conversation and gently invite them into your world. That's what you want to do. Okay. Now there's if it's professional assistance that you need, because of course you need professional assistance of someone. I'm an infidelity recovery specialist, so you need someone who's been where you are and has a proven methodology to help you building the marriage, building yourself, healing, resolving conflict, having those tough conversations in a safe space. Okay. So if you're interested with me, of course, schedule your call. We'll get you on the line and we'll see how I can best help you or what your next best step should be. Okay. So what I do want to do is I want to share a different testimony with you. Her testimony is a little different from yesterday's testimony. So what I'm going to do is share my screen, and then when I'm finished with that, I'm going to share a very personal testimony of mine.